So that's what we're going to be doing. And let's see. Okay, she'll be here in a few minutes. So one more time, we are going to have a special visitor with us today who's going to be talking about her work, where she's from, what she does. And if you have any questions, because this is a topic that you know about, if you have any questions, write down your questions, ask them. And if it's possible, take notes, because in Module 3, your advanced oral skills assignment is going to be precisely about this class. Okay? It's going to be about what we discussed in this class. So make sure you do that. Denise Fabrega, what's happening with your camera? Okay, I need to be seeing everybody's face at all times. I don't want to see your forehead or your roof of your house or half of your face. I need to see your entire face at all times. That's really important. Good. So the first thing, of course, I know you're super well-behaved kids, so that's not going to be a problem. But please pay attention, because this is for your benefit. Okay? To see if how developed your ear is to be able to understand different accents. So that part, and also because, like I've said 300 times, your third module is going to be based on whatever is spoken of in this class. Okay, so do you have any questions about what I expect from you? Everybody understands what's expected? Yes? Emily Valencia, I can only see like your eyes. Bring down that thank you. You're also very beautiful. Why do I only see like half your face? Good, thank you. That's a little bit better. Okay, good. Okay, so the main reason why class was changed for today is because I wasn't here yesterday. Well, I was, but I knew I was going to be a little late, and actually I got home like 10:02, and that was going to be late, so I preferred to change the class. So how many of you, changing the subject, how many of you saw that news about an airplane that landed on the highway? You saw that? I didn't see it, but my mom called me and told me. So what did you think of that? Give me your opinions, because this is stuff that we see in movies, right? We never think this could happen in Panama. Tell me, somebody, while we wait for a visitor, what's your opinion about that? What did you think when you saw it? Diego, I saw you raise your pencil. What did you think when you saw that, Diego Lopez?
That it was crazy. If I would be in the airplane, I would be really scared.
I know. What kind of airplane was it, though? Was it like a passenger plane or just like an avioneta kind of thing?
Avioneta.
Oh, so it didn't have a lot of people in it. How many people were in it? Who knows? How many?
I think there was the teacher and a student
Oh.
that was learning.
Oh. Oh my goodness, if I was a flight student and that happened to me, I don't know. I think I'd be traumatized. I don't think I would ever go back to fly a plane. Wow, so it was a student and a flight instructor. So was it like a young person or was he old? The student. Yeah, I know everybody's old to you, but like, how old was he more or less? 20s? 30s? You have no idea, do you? Okay. So who wants to give me a few more details about that? What exactly happened? Those of you who watched it, what exactly happened? Oh, here's our visitor. Okay, so hold that until later. We're going to talk about that some other time. But yeah, I heard about, my mom told me, and I was like, what? That sounds like something I saw in a movie, but it was actually true. Really interesting and kind of scary. And there was also an accident really early around Westland. Did you hear about that? That's actually the reason why I got home late yesterday, and I was so happy I had changed the class, because I was going to be on time, but I said, this is Panama. There's always some kind of traffic drama. So no, so that's why I changed the class. And in effect, I got home at 10:02. I would have been having a heart attack because I hate being late. Okay, so we have our special visitor with us, Miss Charles. Would you please show us your beautiful face? Okay, so you have to unmute yourself and
I forgot. Hi, good morning.
have it. These are my amazing kids. These are 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. They're all very
Okay.
beautiful. And
Okay.
all of them speak English. That's why they're in this class. And so I'm going to just let you explain to them who you are, where you're from, what your work is, what you had to study to be able to get that job, and something more about
Oh,
what you do in that position that you have. Okay? So the mic is all yours.
okay, I will do my best.
You're going to be taking notes.
Oh, really? So I should speak slowly.
Not really, because they need to practice how to listen, how to pay attention to different accents and not only mine. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. As you can tell, I have a very different accent. I am from the island of St. Lucia, which is a small island in the Caribbean, which I think you guys know. You guys are all pretty smart students from what I have been told. And I have been living in Panama for about maybe 6 years now, and still my Spanish is improving. People tell me, oh, you speak Spanish, but I refuse to say that until I believe I have mastered the subject. So for now, I'm still working on my Spanish, but my first language, my mother tongue, as we say in the United Nations, is English. And I also speak a second language, which is a version of French and English, and it's called Creole. So it's kind of similar to what people speak in Haiti, but it's more focused on the English side. So I say bonjour, merci beaucoup, muy faim, which means I'm hungry, etc., etc. Anyway, I'm not a language expert. I'm here to talk to you about environmental issues. And I have been working with the United Nations Environment Program based here in Panama City, in the Ciudad del Saber, and I've been working on the area of ozone layer protection, or more in the area of our air and our atmosphere since 5 years. Before that, I used to work in St. Lucia in environmental management issues. So in terms of how I was able to get this job, and that might be useful for you when you're thinking about your career and what subjects that you choose. I did in what you might call high school. In St. Lucia, we say secondary school. I did a lot of sciences like geography, biology, zoology. I did subjects like that. I also did agricultural science. I did what you may call it, a diploma in agricultural science. And then after that, my other education is in natural resources management and resource economics. So all of these are good science subjects for you if you're interested in having a career in the United Nations in any item to do with environmental issues like air, water, or climate, for example, like what I'm doing. It's very hard to work for the United Nations or to even get to the interview stage, but it's not difficult. Imagine little me from the Caribbean with a population of less than Clayton, 182,000 people in the whole of St. Lucia. I think Panama has 4 million people. And as long as you prepare yourself and you work hard and you know that you deserve everything that everyone else in the world has, and your race does not matter for the UN, race does not matter, gender does not matter, any disability that you have does not matter, everyone is treated equally, then you can apply for any job that you desire in the United Nations. So that's my little spiel. So we can get you working on that career path if that's what you choose to, but it's very hard work. For example, day before yesterday, today is what? Wednesday, right? Monday, I worked until 8 p.m. I think I started to work at 7 a.m. And last night I worked until 7 p.m. It's not that way all the time, but sometimes it's very hard. But the good parts of the job is that you get to, well, before COVID, we traveled a lot. We traveled quite a bit because of the work that I do. I work with the islands in the Caribbean, the English-speaking countries in the Caribbean. So there are 14 islands. So if you pull up a map of the Caribbean, you will see like a chain of islands going down from Miami all the way down to South America, like the tip of Venezuela. So it starts with the Bahamas, and it goes all the way down to all the islands that have like St. Vincent, St. Kitts, and then Barbados, St. Lucia, where I'm from, and then you go down to Trinidad and Tobago. So those are the countries that I work with. And we tend to travel a lot because of our office has regional office all around the world. We have offices in Bangkok, in Thailand, which is a really nice country. We have offices in Nairobi, in Africa. We have offices in Paris, France. We have offices in Bahrain, in Myanmar, and we have an office here in Panama City, Panama. So because we were so dispersed before COVID, we did travel a lot. I've been to probably all continents except Australia. And I don't think I've been to, what's the one next to Australia? What's the name? I can't remember. It starts with
New Zealand?
Anyway, yeah. I haven't been there yet, but I've been to all of North America, South America, Central America. I haven't been to China yet, but I've been to many Asian countries and about 7 or 8 countries in Africa. So it's a really interesting job that you get. So if you wish to travel, as long as the UN lifts the travel ban for us as staff members, because right now it's not really considered safe. I think essential staff in other organizations outside of UNEP, like the staff that deal with disasters, if there's a hurricane or earthquake, they can travel. They still have to travel. Maybe people are traveling to Afghanistan. I don't know, because we have staff who have to deal with the issues related to, conflict and humanitarian issues that Afghanistan is now experiencing. They may need to travel. So it's a career, if you choose, depending on the area and the position that you select, you have to travel. So talking about that, I am the Montreal Protocol Regional Coordinator or manager for the group of activities that are looking at protecting the ozone layer in the world, but focusing on the Caribbean. So I'm not sure in your studies if you've learned about how the world is working towards protecting our environment. And the way that they do it is that they sign international agreements. It's sort of like you have a law locally in Panama to protect the animals, or law to prevent smoking, or law to protect women and kids against abuse. You have environmental laws as well to protect the environment. So there's this environmental law called the Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer. And the special thing about this law, but we call it multilateral environmental agreement, that is the proper word, is that other than you don't know what it's doing because no one sees the ozone layer, and you go outside, you don't feel what the ozone layer does to you, except that when you go outside or you go to the beach, you might get burnt. And the ozone layer is there to protect us from the UV radiation when it comes in. And without the ozone layer, we would not have life as it is, because we will not be able to be outside, and many animals would die and many plants would die, and we would not have food, and we would not be able to live, essentially. And so the ozone layer is there to protect us and to protect life and animals and plants. And so the Montreal Protocol is there to also help countries to get rid of the substances or the chemicals that when they get released into the atmosphere, they go up, and they destroy the ozone layer. So that is the whole purpose of this environmental agreement called the Montreal Protocol. And that's where I work in, specifically with countries in the English-speaking Caribbean. I have a colleague who is managing countries in Latin America, the Spanish-speaking countries, and then the other regions that I mentioned, we have colleagues who are working with those countries. The Montreal Protocol is also the only multilateral environmental agreement to have all countries in the world to have signed on to it. When I say signed on, they have agreed to implement or to take action to protect the ozone layer. So there are 198 countries in total who have signed on to the Montreal Protocol. And when we compare this, for example, to the Climate Change Convention, which is in short, we say the UNFCCC. I think you probably heard about that convention. This is the one that deals with climate change. It's very closely linked to Montreal Protocol, but it's not the same. They have 196, so it's close, but we have more. And we've been boasting about it for a very long time because the Montreal Protocol is very special. We have a presence in all countries, even in Haiti, where, you know, there's always an earthquake in Haiti. There's always a hurricane. The president got assassinated the other day. Afghanistan, we're present. Iran, we're present. And we're present in Panama, we're present in Canada, we're present in Australia. So we have universal ratification, and it's something that we're very, very proud about. And it's been working. The convention has been working. And right now, in 2017, all those countries of the world decided, hey, we've done a lot of work under the ozone aspect of the Montreal Protocol. There are certain gases. Okay, let me go back. You know, when you go into your fridge and you get cold juice or water, you go into your car, you turn on the AC. Ooh, I have my AC on and it's nice and chill. Or you go to the hospital and your COVID shot, it came from a little bucket with ice, right? All of these things are because they have these equipment or machines or whatever have refrigerants in them. And those refrigerants are the sources of the gas that deplete the ozone layer. So that is the link, that is the reality for us when it comes to the ozone layer. And that's why all those countries have signed on, because it's everywhere. Those gases are in our cars, they're in the water coolers, they're in the refrigerators. Where else are there? What else did I say? I can't remember. You guys have to be listening. Anyway, you get the drift, right? So now because technology changes, and I think some of you might be, you know, technology shakers and develop new things for us to use. Because the technology is changing, somebody decided to do a whole new bunch of refrigerants or gases that now are depleting. They don't deplete the ozone layer, but they affect the climate. They affect the climate and they cause global warming. Meaning, when you release those chemicals into the atmosphere, they don't go all the way up to the ozone, like the chemicals that deplete the ozone layer do. They hang around like just above our air up into the sky right there. And they stay there and they cause this like greenhouse global warming effect that we all know about. And that's another conversation, but that's the whole problem about, you know, the temperatures in the world increasing, because all those gases and carbon dioxide, you know, are in the atmosphere, and the sun is coming down, the sun rays are coming down, and it bounces off of the surface of the earth, but it doesn't leave, because all those little gases that are in the atmosphere are trapping the heat. So this new refrigerant, it's called hydrofluorocarbons. There are new ones. They're also found in your refrigerator. They're found in the newer cars have it, well, all the models of the cars have it. The refrigerants that used to be used in the cars that cause ozone layer depletion are no longer used. They've been phased out, or they got rid of them. And now we're transitioning into this new bunch. There's also carbon dioxide. You have cars now with carbon dioxide. These are really fancy cars. The cars that use electricity, they also use the carbon dioxide based. If you want to do a test when you go home tonight or after this class is finished and you're tired of talking to me, go pop the hood of your car, of your dad, or if you have a car, I don't know if you guys drive, pop the hood. And when you open the hood, you will see a whole bunch of labels. On one of the labels, it will tell you what refrigerant is in that car. It will say R for refrigerant, and it will have a bunch of numbers. And then it will, that refrigerant, I guarantee you, will be an HFC, or it could be a carbon dioxide, R123YF. So that's a little bit of homework to do. And for the fridge, you'll find it behind the fridge or on the door of the fridge. Sometimes they have it there when you open the fridge. There's some paneling, you can find it there. Anyway, so that's how we react, or we have to deal with those refrigerants. And one of the ways that we raise awareness to those refrigerants is that, not the refrigerants, but the cause of world ozone depletion is that we have a day called World Ozone Day. And every year it's celebrated on the 16th of September. And it's a special day that is all countries around the world plan special events, public awareness, events, or they might do something, well, now it's viral. They might do things viral, they might have a webinar, they might send out information on Instagram, on Facebook, they might give out free t-shirts, they might do something with a special message so that they can promote or continue to bring awareness to the issue that, hey, the ozone layer is still there and we still need to do something about it and we need your help. And I guess this is maybe part of the things that we do. We go to schools as well. Well, I don't do it, but each country has a particular office called a National Ozone Unit, where all the activities for the country is being done in that country from that National Ozone Unit. I was beginning to talk about climate change. If you have any questions about that, I can talk about it as well, but I'm not like the 100% expert on climate change, but I can talk about it. I know that we're having issues with sea level rise and it's getting more hot. All of that is related to climate change and not really the effects of the ozone layer. But because Montreal, the convention, not the convention, the agreement that is dealing with ozone layer realize that, hey, some of those chemicals that we are asking people to use in place of the ones that deplete the ozone layer are harmful for the climate. We need to get rid of it too. So they've taken on those harmful chemicals that are harmful for the climate, and they're beginning to get rid of them. And that decision was taken in 2017. And the agreement is called the Kigali Amendment. Kigali for the capital of Rwanda. All parties, everyone who represents the government took a plane and flew all the way to Rwanda. They had a huge convention. They fought about words and convention texts and whatever for 5 days. And after that, they came up with a document and they called it the Kigali Amendment. And this is how they got a decision to phase out the HFCs, which is what you will find in your car, for example. And you would probably ask, well, it's just paper, what happens? Well, right now in Panama, if you go through customs with any of those refrigerants, it will be confiscated because Panama has legislation to prevent the importation of any of those substances. For the ones that affect the climate, the HFCs, the hydrofluorocarbons, you need a permit to bring it in. And only special people in Panama can bring in those refrigerants, such as special groups of importers can bring them in. All countries have all the same package. They have legislation to prevent the import or export of those gases. They have legislation to monitor the import and export of those gases. Also the equipment that contain it. So cars, AC units, refrigerators, water coolers, all of those products are controlled by legislation. So customs is in partnership with the program. The AC guys that come to your house to fix your AC units, they're supposed to be in partnership. There are training programs for them. And it's a huge program which is supported by various persons in the country. So it's not just on paper, it's actually action that is being done. And if you have any questions, that's all the facts that I wanted to give you, because I can go on and talk about this and then you will go to sleep and I don't want to bore you. But let me know if you have any questions about it. In terms of the environmental effects of ozone layer depletion, it also affects the fish in the ocean. The UV can come in and it can harm the little plankton that the fish feed on. So I just wanted to put that in there. Interesting fun fact.
That's good. So kids, remember I said everybody has to ask a question as far as that takes us. So who wants to be first, or should I start naming names? Who wants to be first? Who has a question? I'm going to name names. And I'm going to...
How many, how many, I think it's like hard to get that information for a lot of people because they don't want to pay attention for that. But how you explain that, for example, to little kids? Because I think it's like that's a topic that it's not easy to get to our mind.
Thank you, Joe, for your question. Well, for little kids, there's usually a special video that we play. So if we have the opportunity, well, there's COVID now, but let's say, for example, there was not COVID, or let's say there is COVID now, I would probably play a video. We have a series of cartoons for kids, and it breaks everything down. We have like a Aussie Ozone, which is a little boy cartoon. And I can't remember what the girl cartoon is, but she has her own Aussie name and they're supposed to be friends. I don't think they're boyfriend and girlfriend, but we make jokes about them being boyfriend and girlfriends. But they go through the whole story about how the earth is being affected by these gases, and it shows pictures and graphics. It shows the earth, and it shows the location of the ozone layer and how the gases go up and deteriorate the ozone layer, and the ozone hole shows up every year in the north and in the south of the hemispheres. And it breaks it down. So there's particular information for little kids that can watch videos. There's information for kids like you, like more adolescents, and there's information for adults like me and older people, and there's information for the customs officers. So we really try to break it down depending on the level of information that we would like the person to receive. So that's a really, really good question, but it's hard. It's really hard because some people still mix up the issues of the climate with the ozone, although they're like really closely related. They're so different. The topics are so different. Yeah. So, I don't know. I hope that answers your question.
Good one, John. Gianluigi, thank you for starting it out. Who's next, or should I name names? Okay, so I'm gonna name names. Let's start at the bottom of my screen with Christian.
Okay, I know technology is advancing and I want to know if there is any technological solution to fix the ozone layer.
Like we've had that question before. I think you're asking Christian whether we could like send the balloon up with more ozone molecules. That's what you're asking, for example, and
Yes,
add
if
more
there-
ozone.
If there is any technological solution to fix it.
Yeah, no, we can't do that because the reason why is because the ozone layer is natural. It was created from natural processes and it's really, really high. It's, I can't remember the figure, but if you Google, for example, if you go on NASA's website, they give you NASA, they give you measurements every day of the levels of the ozone layer, and you can actually see the location of the ozone layer. It's just above where planes fly. You know, you've been in a plane, right? So you know how high they go. The ozone layer is a bit above that. And it's a natural occurring process, but it's slow. Unfortunately, the rate of depletion or the rate at which those chemicals damage the ozone layer is faster than the ozone layer can naturally recuperate itself. And because it is so high, even if we send a balloon, it will not reach up into the ozone layer. Maybe in, I don't know, in 200 years, they might discover a process to how do you say, to artificially get it regenerated, but it could only, the science have shown that it could only be generated naturally. And I have to say that when one molecule of refrigerant, that chemical, is released into the atmosphere, it could last up to 200 years in the ozone layer, and it keeps destroying until it disappears. So those chemicals are very, very stable. I don't know if you do chemistry right now and you understand molecules and atoms, but maybe very soon you will. They're very, very stable. So they don't get destroyed very easily. They could only get destroyed by the rays of the sun hitting the structure of the molecule. And then it's broken up into, you know, oxygen or chlorine, depending on what you have in the chemical. So they last a very, very, very long time. And right now, there's no way to make the ozone layer back again to what it was when the Earth was first created. Yes. It's now healing, but it's a slow process. By 2050, the scientists predict it will fully recover, 2040 to 2050.
That's a really good question, Christian.
Yeah.
Next on my screen, I have Denise Fabrega. Where are you? There you are. Denise Fabregat, do you have a question? No?
I don't have a question and I have a lot of noise in my house.
You have a question, but there's a lot of noise in your house. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Good one. Daniela, your question. Daniela, in the dark, I can't see you. Show me your, there you go. There goes the beautiful face. Do you have a question?
Not really.
Do you have a comment?
That's no, because when she was talking, the internet decided to kick me out of the class and then get in, and I'm very sad, teacher.
Daniela, your internet is not nice. It does this to you
No.
often. That's not, see, you're almost stuck again. Okay, Diego Lopez, you're next. Talk to me.
I do have a question. What is the substance that affect the most the ozone layer?
Okay, good question. Right now, it would be the first substance that affected the ozone layer most was the one with the highest, what we call is a measurement. We measure, you ask a very hard question, Diego. Okay, you're making me go all scientific. We measure the substances by their ozone depleting potential, which is ODP. So you can write that down and maybe check it later. So the chemical with the worst ODP is CFC, or chlorofluorocarbons. Now that substance has already been phased out. But remember, Diego, I said earlier that these substances, when they are released into the atmosphere, they last over 100, sometimes 200 years. So there is still some CFC people up in the atmosphere, in the ozone layer, destroying the ozone, but they're being phased out. The second group of chemicals, which are the second most harmful, are hydrochlorofluorocarbons, or HCFCs. They have the next most harmful ozone depleting potential, ODP. And these ones are currently being phased out. They will be completely phased out or gotten rid of by 2030. So now we're in 2021, October the 6th. So we have a few more years to get rid of them. And Panama is also in agreement with that. And all the countries of the world have to phase out. Countries like the US and the developed countries, the bigger countries, they will have an earlier phase out date. But for Panama and so on, it will be 2030. And then that will get rid of all of the harmful ozone depleting substances. Now there are some in between that I didn't mention, but those are the big ones. Great question, Diego. You were listening. Excellent. Thank you.
Marcela, do you have a question?
Yes. My question is, what do you think that we can do to take care of the ozone layer and to make people have awareness about this topic?
Okay. So to take care of the ozone layer, you as an individual, Marcella, if I say your name correctly, what you can do is, number one, if your mom or your parents or you are buying a car, a new car, or a refrigerator, or an AC unit, or water cooler, or whatever, aerosol can spray, read the label and make sure it says ozone friendly. That is the one decision you could make. It's your money and you have the buying power, because we can still find products on the market that contain the chemicals that deplete the ozone layer. So we still have to be careful. That's for what you should not find the CFCs, the chlorofluorocarbons, the ones that I told Diego that are the most harmful. These have already been phased out, but you can never be too sure. Then the second thing you can do is that when you have a leak in your car, AC isn't working, there's a leak, you know, there are people around the street somewhere, I don't know, Kaya, wherever, that you can go and get your car fixed, or you have to call someone to your house to get your AC unit fixed. Make sure that that man or woman is trained. Each country does training for refrigeration and air conditioning technicians to make them aware of ozone layer depletion, and that they're using certain pieces of equipment. They have a recovery machine, they have a recycling machine. They don't just open, you know, the little cap on your car and vent the gas. You can actually smell it and you could actually hear it. And if you lock yourself in your room and you smell it, you will knock out. because the refrigerant will replace the oxygen and you can die. So it's actually dangerous. So you have to be careful. So you have to make sure that you get somebody who's trained. Panama does the training. They actually have ID cards. Ask them for their training ID card, or if they don't have an ID card, ask them for their license and they can help you. And the second thing, the next thing you can do in terms of the awareness, I think, how to make people more aware, you could share information that you find on Instagram or Facebook, on the UN website, or in the Panama Ministry of, I think it's Ministerio de Ambiente, there's a National Ozone Unit. You could share that information. Tell people, hey, I was in a class today and this lady from the UN, she was kind of boring, but some of the things that she said was interesting. And share the information. We have this website called unep.ozone/ozone action. Sorry, unep.org/ozone action. In there, you'll get lots of scientific information that you could also share. Share. Just like you share selfies, share the information. And this is good, solid facts that you could share. Thank you very much for your question. Good one, Marcela.
Okay, so people, we don't have much more time, but I know Daniel had a question. Anybody else has a question other than Daniel? Raise your hand. Alondra. Okay, so Daniel, Alondra, Sean, Owen. We're gonna go with the four. Daniel,
I will
Alondra.
be fast.
Daniel, go ahead.
Well, I heard something about travel and do you travel for your work or something like that, or because you like it?
No, it's mandatory. We have to travel for work. Right now, we don't travel because of COVID, but we must travel. Minimum, I travel once a month, sometimes twice a month.
Okay.
All over the world. Yeah.
Good
And
question.
do you enjoy it?
Yes, I do. Sometimes I don't, because you basically see the airport, the hotel room, conference room. Sometimes you can spend an extra day and you can go sightseeing. And like when I was in Egypt, I was able to see something, but sometimes you don't get to see much, but you might be able to plan and spend an extra half of a day to go sightseeing. Look at your face. You want to go to Egypt, huh? Yeah, but yes.
Great question, Daniel. Alondra.
Okay, well, I have a question, but it's a personal question.
Sure.
What's your inspiration to get to where you are in your life and why?
That's a very good question. I think my inspiration was my dad when I was younger, because we grew up very poor. So this is very personal. We grew up very poor. We didn't have much, but my dad always taught us to reach for the stars. I mean, it sounds very poetic, but essentially he said to us to work hard and to try to get the best for you. He gave us the best education that he could afford. So he paid for our education as far as he could afford. And the rest I sacrificed and paid for myself. And I wanted to do good by that. I didn't want to throw away the opportunity that he gave me. And because of that, I was able to get a good job in my country, which also allowed me to travel. And because of my travel, I was able to work with this convention, the Ozone Montreal Protocol Convention. And then I saw how good the United Nations environment works for various causes. And then I was inspired by that organization and some of the principles that it has. And that helped me to want to work for the organization. I hope I answered the question.
Great question. I think Owen's next, and then Sean.
How much did it cost you to learn Spanish in the 6 years that you live in Panama? And how much do you use it in your travels?
Sorry, I didn't have a question, Owen. How much does it cost me?
Yeah, like learn Spanish.
To learn Spanish. Okay, I did like basic Spanish in high school in St. Lucia. So that was like part of my education. And in university, I did like another basic course. But in Spanish, it cost $20 an hour to learn Spanish. And I think I hated my first tutor. So I dropped my first tutor and I got a second tutor, and then they wanted to charge $30 and then I dropped them. So that's how much it costs. It's very expensive. But I think the trick is, for me, is to be just more confident and just speak the language. Even if, you make a mistake. I always have it in the back of my head that I'm not speaking properly. I made a mistake with the verb, the noun, agreement, blah, blah, blah. And I restrict myself. I think I just need to get over it and just speak more so I can improve.
And Sean, good question, Owen.
My question is that I heard that you studied a lot of science and also natural resources management, and I wanted to know that, like, if it was a large, it sounds like a large process, and I want to know if it's tedious to study all that years and how it was.
Thanks, Sean, for your question. Well, of course, you know, education is not easy. It's a sacrifice. It's not as long as any other degree or degrees would take. It depends on how high you want to go. You do not need, and the basic you need to enter the United Nations is a first degree. If you have like a certificate before that, I don't know what you would call that in Panama, or an associate degree plus the first degree and the master's, it's your choice. But the minimum requirement you would need is a first degree, depending on the entry level of the job that you're coming in. And I should mention, because you guys are all youths, you're young people, the United Nations has other programs that you could try. You could become a UN volunteer, United Nations volunteer. And that means that you're not really a full-time staff, but you do work every day for a certain program, and you get a small salary at the end of the month. It usually is a 6-month process, a 6-month time that you work with the UN, or a 12-month time, and you get paid. Or you can become a UN intern, which is not paid. And I don't like to recommend that one, but it's an option. It looks good on paper, but it's an option too. With the volunteer, the UN volunteer, you could easily get a full-time employment with the UN system with that options. But back to your question, yes, it takes a normal time, 4 years for a degree, and then you could start to apply or get experience while you apply. A lot of jobs ask for experience as well in the area that you're applying. So it's also good to try to find some experience either as a UN volunteer or in another organization in Panama or wherever else in the world that you wish. And you can apply anywhere in the world, not only in Panama. The UN loves international staff.
Okay, kids, so that was it. Remember, I hope you took notes. Remember that this is going to show up in module 3. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Donna, for taking the time to talk to my brilliant kids.
They are. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And see all of you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.